were in that breakaway, and it's been a great day out for number 43 at 8 kilometres to go. Parra's just up the road.
I think they're going to get him.
I think they might. That's the 8 kilometre banner just there, and Ruggiano has had a great day, read it perfectly, massed all of the points. The only climb he's lost was the penultimate one, the Erbe, and Garati took that off him, but other than that he's had maximum points today.
Well, the Erbe was a very important one to win because that was the Trofeo Marco Pantani.
This is the chase group here, I think. There's a change at the front.
This is the main field.
Well, where's the pink jersey gone?
Well, that was Schleck going through. There's Gilberto Simoni. I'm just looking to see where the pink jersey's gone here.
Well, I think he's down the back. I've just seen him in the centre of the group. Well, there's Simoni, and I wonder if he knows. Now, why has he dropped back there?
Well, Simoni sent his men to the front. That's Villa on the front for Team Lampre. Simoni's moving up into third, fourth place. Cunego has moved forward. Now, this is not a good sign. There he is. Halfway down there is the pink jersey of Ivan Basso. He's probably just having a quick look because up alongside him there was Paolo Salvadelli. But there are no more CSC riders in the group. In fact, that is Frank Schleck. Frank Schlepp has just stopped at the left-hand side of the road as if somebody just punctured both of his thighs.
Well, he was the last man, I think, in the group for CSC. The whole team have now been written out of the script. They've done their job perfectly well, but they haven't been able to stay the distance. Now they're leaving the pink jersey of Ivan Basso totally exposed to attacks.
This is Emmanuel Sella in the orange jersey. Look at the way he bounces out of the saddle. He's a very good climber. These men will not be thinking about winning the stage here this afternoon, but more about trying to move themselves up in the overall classification. There's Daniel Atienza on the right-hand side in the Cofidis jersey, while Parra, Phil, he hasn't given up. You know, the group behind him of four riders is still only between 10 and 15 seconds in arrears. And this man, if he looks over his shoulder, he can see them. But you know what? He's taunting them, saying, come on then, it's only 10 or 15 seconds. If you want me, you come and get me, but I'm not waiting.
Well, this little climber is so small he's had to put his number on his seat pin because he can't fit it on the frame. His legs don't exactly look powerhouse legs either, but they're doing the job here. I think we can use the phrase here, dancing on the pedals, because looking over his shoulder, these boys are nearly on, but not quite. Calcioli, Garate, and the man of the day, Ruggiano.
They're down to 3. They've lost one more rider. Calcioli can feel the big mountain top finish coming to him.
Still a long way.
It's still a long way to go. 7 kilometres to the summit, but they haven't given up. Calcioli's out of the saddle. Garate has had a fabulous day out on the road, and they're still hovering at 10 seconds from Ivan Parra. Now, I tell you what, Phil, if they get onto his back wheel, watch out for the counter-attack coming from Jose Ruggiano, because he is the man who will hurt them with a launch of a searing attack.
Calcioli trying to relive his halcyon days, I think, when he finished third in the Tour of Italy in 2002. He's had a couple of stage wins as well. He's had a 9th, but he needs to really try and close that gap now and wave the flag for Crédit Agricole. Even so, it's nice to see the French team has got themselves a man who can ride for the overall, even if he has to come from Italy rather than France. But this is the man who is doing all that's necessary right now. Whether he doesn't panic, got to keep control of his rhythm here, not push himself into the red zone, because if he does, he'll die and they'll be on him.
Well, he's not worried
at all. This is a real pursuit.
Well, he isn't worried. He's forcing them to really dig into their reserves, to pull themselves back to his back wheel, because he knows they're actually in a very good tactical position, Colombia Italia, because in that group we've got the best climber of the Giro, Jose Ruggiano. If it all comes back together, you can be absolutely certain that little green jersey is going to bullet off the front of the group at the moment that the junction is made.
Well, he's still keeping that rhythm going, just mastering his own pace here. Ivan Parra climbing in the true tradition of the riders from Colombia. They came to the Tour de France, they couldn't handle the flat roads, but boy, nobody could handle them in the mountains.
Just over on the right-hand side, I think there's a plan developing here from Team Lampre. I've seen Francisco Villa is putting a lot of pressure on the front. Gilberto Simoni is there with Damiano Cunego up alongside him. Moving up to the first 5 or 6 places as well, you can see Paolo Salvadelli. But we have got Amalia Rosa here this afternoon, who's been completely and utterly isolated. If he has a mechanical incident right now, Phil, he's going to be in a serious spot of bother because he has no teammates to help him.
Well, the guy is riding up there as well. We normally will commentate on Christoph Brandt, but now we're talking about Wim van Huffel of the De Wieteman Lotto team. They seem to have found themselves a new great climber here. He's climbing with the best right at the sharp end of that group. This is the second group on the road, the remnants of the early breakaway of 19. Cauchioli, Garate. Many people tip Garate for a podium finish in Milano. I'm not sure he can do that now. He was the best man placed in the breakaway today. Got the most to gain for sure.
He's right. I tell you what, this is quite remarkable because they cannot close down the last 10 seconds. This man Parra is just hovering in front of them. As we go back to this main group here, this is the group of all the serious contenders. Danilo De Luca in the white jersey, leader of the Pro Tour, looking very comfortable, but they are starting to reduce in numbers. There's Van Hoffel looking over his shoulders. On his shoulder is Damiano Cunego. Over on the far side there you can see Gilberto Simoni. Simoni looks as if he's getting ready for one of those searing attacks which has been his habit over the last few years.
Well, I'll tell you what, no Belgian has won the Giro d'Italia since 1978, and it wasn't Eddy Merckx. It was
Johan de Munk.
Yeah, we still see him around too.
I only know that because I raced with him.
Same
team.
Well, not
he was
in
a
the
great
Giro
man.
d'Italia.
No, he was just a little bit older than I was, but de Munk was a fantastic rider, learned an awful lot racing in Italy. In fact, he came up in those days, it was regarded as only the team leaders were supposed to win. And there was a lot of information that, in fact, Johan de Munk was ganged up against in one Giro d'Italia when he should have actually won it. He came back the following year, and his teammate Roger de Vlaeminck was the man who I think helped to conspire to make him lose.
Good heavens, accusations 30 years on. As we continue to see the attacks being countered here now. Now, this is an interesting move here because this is Samuel Sanchez, who's a good climber. And he's being joined here by the climber from Ielas Baleares. Well,
that's an indication everyone's starting to get a little bit twitchy now. This is Cunego now. Wait now. This is a setup for Gilberto Simoni. Cunego going to the front, trying to set something up for Simoni. He didn't set it up for very long before Gilberto took off.
Well, Gilberto Simoni, they mass to the front, and look at the cleverness of Paolo Savidelli.
Yeah, but look at the inability to respond there of the Maglia Rosa. There is a gap there. In fact, you can see slipping back through the group there is Ivan Basso. He has to respond to that attack, Phil.
Basso would never have ridden down near the back. He's got Cunego right on his back wheel there. He suddenly disappeared from the front just before Frank Schleck cracked himself earlier. But he would never have ridden down there because you always like to give the impression to the boys who are close to you that you're going good. And he is in trouble here.
He's in trouble, but look at the way Salvadelli pounced on that. That's why this man has got that incredible nickname Il Falco, because he just pounces on anything. Simoni's looking for the big one today. He's looking to move up higher in the overall classification. The orange jersey there is Sammy Sanchez. But Salvadelli looks very comfortable. In fact, I think he's also been a man who's changed his position over the last couple of seasons on the bike. Now, let's see. That is Danilo De Luca a little bit further back. Now, this is the man who started the day in the pink. He's not showing any signs of weakness, but certainly he must respond to an attack by the men who are well up alongside him in the overall classification, Salvadelli and Simoni.
Well, that's the Colombian Ardea who's just in front of him. But what a difference 3 days make. 3 days ago, Basso was hurting Paolo Salvadelli and dropping Gilberto Simoni. Now the same two riders, and here they are on the left of our picture, are going clear of Ivan Basso. Well, I wonder now, did he try just that little bit too hard in the mountains of 2 days ago?
Well, he's not showing any signs of weakness at all. He's up alongside there, Damiano Cunego. But Salvadelli has taken up the pacemaking. He feels confident here this afternoon. He only really needs a handful of seconds before the summit of this climb if he wants to get himself into the Maglia Rosa. And he's in fact putting Simoni into difficulty.
Well, this is Salvadelli racing for pink right now, and he suddenly realised it, I think. There's the the fast-pedalling cadence, similar to his new teammate, Lance Armstrong. Where's Simoni? Let's have a look. He's put Simoni in difficulty. Simoni is a very tenacious animal. He's not going to crack too easily. But this rider, I think, has gone, Paul. I think Basso has gone.
Well, let's not forget the battle at the front. This is really quite remarkable because Ivan Parra is still at the Testa della Corsa, but only still holding on to about 15 seconds advantage over the chasers. But the drama is just a little further down on the slopes because Paolo Salvadelli, I put currently very close to tickling the Maglia Rosa.
Well, Savardelli now is racing for pink, and I wonder if he came to this year's Giro d'Italia with really that dream in mind. He was thought about as one of the favourites, but not the favourite. Everybody called Basso as the man to beat, and right now Savardelli is doing just that. Basso is in trouble here, whether he's feeling ill or whether he is in just a fatigue situation, because he's with Ardea just there.
Cioni as well.
And that's Cioni, yeah, Dario Cioni.
He's not showing any weakness. His body language is looking fairly comfortable, sitting with his hands on the top end of the handlebars, while this pedalling action here from Paolo Savardelli is certainly much more urgent. He certainly does seem to have adopted that very high cadence of Lance Armstrong, and it seems to be doing him quite well.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's free to take the lead in this race now, and also the responsibility, because that's a 6 kilometres to go point here for Iván Basso, not riding like a rider who's going to close any gaps. He's just got one rider on his back wheel as we swing up to the leader. This man has defied all attempts to catch him, and Iván Parra, who left the breakaway, is still holding the remnants of that breakaway at bay. Breakaway which has been on for most of the day today. This is the first category climb as we head up towards the finish. This is where the race story is, left and right, because now the Team Discovery rider Savardelli is pulling away from Iván Basso and could be the next wearer of the Giro's pink jersey.
Well, he was only looking for 18 seconds at the start of the day. The man who started it all there, wearing number 2, Gilberto Simoni, set up initially by Damiano Cunego, went right out on the attack. But you know what? He couldn't stay on the wheel of Paolo Savardelli, who is absolutely possessed. But let's not forget, we're only coming to the end of the second week of racing here at the Giro. There's still a lot of tough days in the mountains before we get to the end.
There certainly are a lot of hilly days left before we reach the end here. And over the top he goes. He gets the points this time. It won't give him the lead, though. That's safely on the shoulders of Luciano now. But Iván Parra didn't break away to think of winning the climb. He's thinking of winning the stage here. The clocks say 13 seconds, and Luciano got second place, so he's really stitched this up today.
Well, that's amazing. Parra has ridden at 10 to 15 seconds off the front of this group, Phil, for the last 5 kilometres. He's certainly not looking back. He's certainly not waiting for them. And he's got his head down now. It's slightly flatter, but it still kicks up before we get down towards the finishing line. He now has to solo. He's got 35 seconds, but more importantly, we need to know the gap between Paolo Savardelli on the left-hand side and the Maglia Rosa of Iván Basso on the right.
And the fact that Atienza here, Ardea, are all hanging on nicely, and that's Marcus Foten there, the Gerolsteiner rider, who's having a very good day. The poor old man in pink, even though he's tired and quite depressed, I would think right now, is still being left to do all of the pacemaking. And that is Gilberto Simoni. We're pulling back. He's being picked up, I think, by Danilo De Luca.
Well, De Luca is riding a superb Giro d'Italia. He's had a fantastic season since very early on where he was quite dominant. But Iván Basso, now the first time we get a chance to see the pain that is starting to go through his body, while this man's pedalling action, Phil, is completely and utterly different. It's energetic, it's supple, and it's going round at a very high cadence.
2 days in the Maglia Rosa of Basso, and it could be the last 2 days, because it could be changing shoulders now. There's a total difference in the attitude to this road, and Savardelli is on top of his game at this moment. He's not interested who's ahead. He's just thinking, with every pedal rev, I am going ahead of Iván Basso.
Started the day in second place in the overall classification. With a ride like that, he's actually moving ahead of everybody else who is anywhere near him to challenge the lead of Iván Basso at the start of the day. Iván Parra, on the other hand, Phil, is just making his way towards the finish, and he's still only got 15 seconds over the group behind him. But that 15 seconds corresponds to, at this speed going uphill, around about 100 metres, but they can't close it.
They can't close it. They're at 100% of effort. They just can't get any closer. He's got a real chance he's going to stay away. As you can see, officially the mountains are now behind the riders today, but they're still going uphill.
Well, that's officially, but that's not the practice, because it still climbs up towards the finishing line. This is a great move here by Paolo Savardelli, and the thing about Discovery Channel was they didn't come to the Giro d'Italia with the top team. They came, I feel, because they were obliged to come as part of the new Pro Tour system, and they have a fairly weak team, but Paolo Salvadelli has ridden a very sensible first week of racing, and now he's got himself into a position where he could be pulling on the pink jersey at the end of today's stage.
Yeah, they were also hoping for a lot more out of young Tom Downsell. He's not that young anymore, but he's still a young one in the appearance at this height of the sport. And he's gone out with what appears to be a slight knee injury, so he's going to have to try and sort that out. He didn't want him to continue because of possible further damage, but this would have been a good race for him to do well in, so really the power now is on the shoulders. Tirolongo is the rider here, picked up by Paolo Salvadelli. He was in the breakaway. He's coming back as well.
I've always thought that was a fantastic name for a bike rider. Tirolongo means long turn, and he certainly didn't do a very long turn on the wheel of Paolo Salvadelli, who is just ticking away at those pedals. He's getting into that corridor of noise now as he gets slowly but surely closer to the finish. Quick look over his shoulder. Nope, Tirolongo is not there anymore. Looks down, looks for a bit more energy to come forward from the engine room. He has now got himself also to the top of this climb, and he's going to go there inside of 4 minutes. That's not important because, in fact, the men in front of him are a long way behind in the overall classification. What he's thinking about is the time that he can open between De Luca and Simoni, and probably more importantly, Ivan Basso, because everybody before the start of this Giro d'Italia had Ivan Basso as the #1 favourite to win.
Well, Basso had one great day to take the pink jersey, and now he's getting his bad day. They say you always get a bad day. You just got to make the most of it.
Just got to hope
this rider's having a good day.
You've just got to hope that if you do have a bad day, it is not in a mountain stage, because if you lose time on a mountain stage, you can lose huge chunks of time in just a few kilometres. This man is still keeping himself reasonably in contention. I think he's lost around about 1 minute by the time he gets to the summit of this climb to Paolo Salvadelli, but he won't be able to take the risks on the descent because although it levels out, it is still pretty much a false flat up towards the finish line.
The beauty of Italy, it looks like a valley road right now, but it isn't as we race on towards the finishing line here at Ortisei. Iván Parra could be establishing a win here because he's certainly shown the defiance. If he does win, by the way, it'll be the first time we've had a win by a Colombian since 2001, when Carlos Castro won the 14th stage. He's going a day early, this man, stage 13.
Well, he's the winner of the stage is inside the last kilometre, and I say the winner because I don't think anybody's going to get anywhere near him. As we look now at the man in the Maglia Rossa, he really does seem to be under a spot of pressure, but he's actually not lost himself all that much time. He's still got a chance to recuperate before he gets to the finish because he's looking at an awful long way to the line.
Well, he knows now that he's lost the time gap he had over him overnight, and he's losing that pink jersey, but think long term, live to fight another day. And that's what he's doing right now. Here's the crowd line, music to the ears of Iván Parra as he continues up towards the line. Did that say 5 kilometres to go? No.
500 metres to go.
500 metres, beg your pardon. The old eyes are going.
He's inside that now. He won't start to celebrate. In fact, that gap that was 15 to 20 seconds has extended quite a far amount over the last few kilometres. I think they just desisted because they weren't able to get onto his back wheel. And it's going to be absolutely a big win for Iván Parra, and a great win for this team, Colombia Cell Italia, who was one of the teams brought in at the very last minute as a wild card.
Absolutely right, Paul, and that's the trouble with the Pro Tour now. Many teams will no longer get their chance at these big tours if this is the way it's going to be in the future. But it's been a long, long day in the saddle to ask of the riders. 6.5 hours of mountain climbing, and Iván Parra has been ahead for the vast majority of those 6.5 hours. At one stage there were 19 of them, now there's just one, and he gets the victory. He's going to be delighted. This is a huge result for Colombia Cell Italia as he races up towards the line, celebrating nice and early. Why shouldn't he? No pink jersey awaits him, just first place on a stage number 13 in the Giro d'Italia. Enjoy the moments while it happens.
Well, I think the joy is obvious to see there. That's a great win for him, a great win to Colombia, and I'm sure that that's been followed live on Colombian television because in Colombia they love their sport and they love their cycling. Iván Basso, though, is carrying a big weight on his back here this afternoon. Ruyano, I think, is going to make it a 1-2, or is he? Because Garati just comes up to get second place, Ruyano third, and just holding on, Cocchioli gets fourth.
But that was a great day out for Ruyano. He got third on the day and he's well clear in the King of the Mountains competition. But this is the race for the moment. As Paolo Salvadelli has slipped Iván Basso, the clock really starts when he crosses the line. And as he races in, this has been another superb day for this man.
Simone and De Luca just coming in around about 10 seconds in arrears, but here is the Maglia Rosa there. He's not looking like a man who's got a very comfortable pedalling style. He's overgeared, and that's a sign that he's gone through difficulty here this afternoon. The clock is still ticking. I thought he was getting up towards the finishing line there, but he's not been able to stay with the group that he was with just a few moments ago.
He's really blown up in the last couple of kilometres. Our camera's never shown this. He's been dropped away here. He's going to be over a minute for sure behind, and that's a big loss today. As the sprinters come home, Valjevec, Kessler were in that group, Vladimir Belli also in the early breakaway.
Well, he's looking like a broken man here, Phil. You see how the shoulders now are not quite as proud as they were on the earlier kilometres of this climb. They've arched down a fraction. He's cutting right in towards the barriers if he can, but he just does not have the power in those legs. This is not a question of trying to keep the jersey on your shoulders. This is a question of just getting to the line, and it is more than a minute since Paolo Salvadelli stopped the clock.
1 minute, 8 seconds. They might round it up or down, but that looks like his loss here for Ivan Basso. There must be a story behind this overnight. With Marcus Foten being propped up on the fence after a great ride as well, but Ivan Basso now being ushered away. There'll be no need to go to the podium. Nothing to pick up, I'm afraid. It's a question of getting him in the car and saying, what happened?
Well, that's the job of Bjarne Riis. He has to go to the riders' hotel room this afternoon and try and get his man back into some kind of form, back into some kind of mentality to fight back. Let's not forget, there is another long time trial to come.
Well, there's the result of the day. Parra ahead of Garate, Ruggiano, Cauchioli, Valjevec. All of those riders in the original breakaway of the day. Salvadelli was the man who was best of the rest. That's rather nice, that, for a man that likes chocolate, Paul. You should be in there.
Well, it is. It's actually not chocolate. It looks like chocolate. It's actually stone, and I hope he's got a nice amount of excess baggage to take that home.
There is the new overall classification. 50 seconds now, the lead of Salvadelli, the next leader of the Giro.